Welcome to Laqshya, the initiative of Laexcellence. Today's trending topic on Armed Forces Special Powers Act. Here I am going to give brief idea about Armed Forces Special Powers Act, why it is in the news, and prelims perspective questions we will solve, and also we will solve the mains question. The Armed Forces Special Powers Act 1958, why it is in the news. Recently, in Bomedala, Arunachal Pradesh, there was two soldiers of the Indian Army were arrested by the local police and repeatedly beaten up for alleged incorrect behavior during the festival. The source of the topic is Hindu, November 28, and the topic we can study in internal security. Here we will see what is AFSPA and why this act came. After independence 1958, there was various group of insurgency groups developed in various parts of the country to separate from the country. This led to various disturbed areas which led to conflict hit areas. So government came up with September 11, 1958 came up with this act to control and suppress these kind of insurgency groups. For this act given power to these army forces. So this act was first implemented in Northeast and then in Punjab. And then in September 1990, Parliament passed Armed Forces Jammu Kashmir Special Powers Act. Then after that, this was become retrospectively become effective from 1990 onwards. So here we will solve the one question. Which of the following true regarding the AFSPA? So the law first enacted in 1958 amid of the nascent insurgency group. Second, it was first implemented in Northeast and then in Jammu Kashmir. So here the correct answer is 1. Why it is second statement wrong? Because it is not. It came in the 1990 only. And after Northeast, second Punjab. It means first Northeast, second Punjab, and then Jammu Kashmir. Here, when AFSPA is applicable, so here first statement, it can be applicable only after the area has been declared as a disturbed area. And the second, earlier states had the power to declare a territory, thus, but in 1972 it passed to the center. So both the statements are correct. So here what is disturbed area? Any area is considered as a disturbed by the reason of differences or disputes between the members of the different religions, races, language or religious groups or castes or communities. Here, which has the power to decide a place as a disturbed area under this Act 1958 AFSPA. So, the first statement is central government, the second statement governor of the state, third statement administrator of the union territory, and fourth statement any one of the above can do it. So, option is all are correct. So, here section 3 of the AFSPA has empowered the governor of the particular state or the union territory to issue a official notification to declaring the state as a disturbed area. After that, center can decide whether to send in armed forces or not. What are the special provisions of the AFSPA and why it become controversial? Section 4A, whenever there is a suspicion of particular person, the armed forces given to kill that person. And 4B, the power given to destroy particular property there if that being used as a fortified position to defend their terrorists or anyone. Section 4C, what it given? It given that any person can be arrested without any warrant if it is suspected of any crime. And 4D, what it given? It used to enter any particular place to search any house on suspicion of being the particular person hidden there. So why it become controversial? Because these armed forces misused these powers and led to human rights violation. Which states are currently under AFSPA? So first statement is all the states of the Northeast and second statement is Jammu Kashmir. So here correct option is Jammu Kashmir. Here not all the Northeast states. Here Meghalaya and Tripura and some districts of the Arunachal Pradesh were removed from this AFSPA because it was free from the insurgency. There is no terrorism or any kind of incidents. So the current states are Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur, Assam, Jammu Kashmir and parts of the Arunachal Pradesh. Here we have to remember is Meghalaya and Tripura and some parts of the Arunachal Pradesh, some districts. So these were exempted from this act because there is no terrorism or insurgency groups. It become peaceful because of good administration, good bureaucracy. Whereas AFSPA has been revoked. The first statement, Home Ministry has removed AFSPA from Meghalaya in April 2008. And second statement, it has also been removed from the 8 of the 16 police stations jurisdictions in Arunachal Pradesh. And third statement, it is also lifted off totally from the Tripura in 2015. So here all the statements are correct. You have to remember Tripura, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya. As we have discussed, why this AFSPA removed from these areas. So I told already, Meghalaya, Tripura and parts of the Arunachal Pradesh declared because it is declared free of insurgency. Is there any committee to review this particular act? So 13 years ago, that means 2005, there was a committee established to review this particular headed by the BP Jeevan Reddy. So what that committee suggested? The committee suggested that remove this act, repeal this act. Why? Because there are many multiple policies are there, national security laws are there, constitutional provisions were already existed and adequate, applicable to safeguard all the security we have. That's why we can remove, this committee said. But those recommendations are not been implemented by the government. So recently, what the Supreme Court is telling? So is there any something is happening? So in August 31, 2018, few months back, 400 soldiers and army officers went to Supreme Court and they challenged the criminal cases filed against the defense personals serving in insurgency areas. And this is the second group of the soldiers petitioned in the Supreme Court because there was this act is diluting and there will not be any special powers if there is any changes in that act. So what Supreme Court said then there is a case is going on now. So as we said already, 350 soldiers again they moved the Supreme Court. So there was a 3-judge bench set up, and what it said is it constituted a special team to probe 1500 allegations in human rights violation by these security personnel in Manipur, and Supreme Court ordered to CBI that we should go case by case. What is the genuinity of this incidents in this probe? Here we will try to solve one main question. Human rights activists constantly highlighting the view that AFSPA is a draconian act leading to cases of human rights abuses by the security forces. What sections of this AFSPA opposed by these human rights activists? Critically evaluate the requirements with respect to the views held by the Apex Court. So first what we have to do, we have to dissect this statement, overall statement, that is this AFSPA is a draconian act said by the human rights activists, and what are the sections of this AFSPA being opposed. This is the first one, this is the second one, and third one is what Supreme Court said. This is the we have to dissect the question. And then we have to give the introduction. What happened? India after independence, there was ethnic groups like Naga insurgency created disturbed areas to withdraw from the Federation of India, led to enactment of this AFSPA Act 1958, which gave special powers to the armed forces to control those areas, to maintain peace and harmony in the country. We have to write like this in the introduction. So here AFSPA become draconian. Why it become draconian? Because human rights abuses by the security forces and also violated human rights. What are those? Right to life and liberty, freedom from slavery and torture, freedom of opinion and expression. All these were violated due to this act. That's why human rights activists, they called it is a draconian act. This comes to the localization from the given question. Next here comes the scenario building and thought process, how it will be. What are the sections of the AFSPA was opposed by the human rights activists? So we have section 4 to power gives to shoot the person, any person, and 4B to destroy any particular place, and 4C to arrest any particular person if he is suspected to be committed a crime, and 4D also forced to enter any particular place to search that house is being suspected. In the scenario building, we have to give some evidences for this through some examples. Suppose in 2000 there was in Manipur, Assam Rifles, they fired on 10 people at bus stand, and all of them were killed. After that, Iroma Sharmila then started her fast on to death, demanding repeal this particular foe. This was the case. This was the news few years back we used to hear this Iroma Sharmila. And even in 2010, 3 civilians killed in Baramulla. After prolonged protest investigation, it came that armed personnel were found guilty. So this shows that how human rights violations happened through this act. That is the reason that human rights activists opposing this, as it has a draconian law. So what Human Rights Commission, National Human Rights Commission is telling? It is also telling that there was a human rights violation is happening through this act. So what Supreme Court is telling on this act? In recent judgment 2016, Supreme Court said that extensive force cannot be used on people even in the insurgency areas. This was the judgment given after 150 allegations on the human rights violations by the security forces in Manipur. And later in the 2017 also, Supreme Court upheld this earlier decision that so cannot probe the every case like that. It told to uphold this case. And recently 2018, few months back, Supreme Court bench comprising CJI Deepak Misra and Justice A.M. Khanwilkar, what they said, expected to take some decision whether police need permission to file a case against these armed personnel in insurgency areas. So what is the final results of the Supreme Court? If the Supreme Court give any directions to the central government to change this law through parliament, what will affect to this law? The immunity enjoyed by the security forces in the disturbed areas will be diluted. That dilute the protection of the protection under this act. So how we will conclude here? Government and Supreme Court should take issue of the human rights violation seriously, and disturbed areas should not create any threat to the internal security of the nation, with positive conclusion. This is ending the session, and all the best. All the best, friends. We will come up with next trending topic tomorrow.